Good evening, everyone. We are back on track with our Studio Ghibli retrospective. We took last week off. We were at a gig last Wednesday, so it clashed with this. And then we were discussing when we could fit it in last week, and ultimately life just got in the way. So we decided to just park it to this week. And we are here with 1991's Only Yesterday. You made a Beatles joke last time we did this Studio Ghibli thing, and there is actually a Beatles reference in it. Did you catch that part?
There is, but it's really weird because there's a Beatles reference, and then they show a band that looks nothing like the Beatles, and I get it. It was supposed to be people copying them, but I was like, it was just weird. I was like, okay, that's not. It was a really weird placement.
So, like most of these Studio Ghibli films, this is one of the reasons that I love doing this retrospective so far, is that I'm watching so many films that I haven't seen before, or I've seen many, many years ago once and can barely remember them. So, for all intents and purposes, every single entry in this whole retrospective is as good as a first-time watch, as far as I'm concerned. But this one was a complete first-time watch for me, only yesterday. So, I
You
watched this
watched it
film
yesterday.
only yesterday. There's the joke.
That's
Yep. I've
funny.
got to throw it in there. And I knew nothing about it. Went into this completely cold. I didn't read a synopsis or anything like that. I think I looked at the poster for it maybe when we were doing the previous one in this retrospective. But yeah, I knew nothing about this one. How about you? Did you have a clue as to this one?
I knew the title.
Okay.
I, yeah, I didn't really know much about it. I still don't. It was kind of a bit. It was there. It happened. It's
Yeah,
like
I didn't really check reviews on this one, but reviews of this are
It's like when
insanely
you go
positive.
to a corner shop and the guy there shows you his little football and he goes, "This is really cool," and you're like, "I don't know anything about what you're talking about because it makes no sense and it's irrelevant to the whole conversation." It's like that. There was like an irrelevant kind of. I was like, "Okay, things happened." It was like there was an anime I watched years ago, and when I say I watched about 10 seconds. Someone got into a fight and it was shit, and it was something businessman, and it was like that. A day in life, people were businessmen. And I was like, "Cool." So I
So
don't know why I'm watching this.
the story of this one, for anyone who doesn't know, it follows a 27-year-old called Taiko. I'm going to say Taiko. There's going to be mispronunciations of a lot of these
I
names.
thought it was taco.
And she takes a holiday with her relatives in the country, and she reminisces about her life when she was a 10-year-old and sort of where her life is
And
leading.
when she gets her period for the first time.
Yeah, there's some random little flashbacks in this one, definitely. This is actually based on a manga, which I didn't know. So I think that was similar to Naishka, wasn't it? That was also based on a manga. But they had to add to the story because apparently it was very, very difficult to adapt. So the manga itself is like is 10-year-old Teiko, and it's quite episodic, and it's just like her school life, I assume, and things that she gets up to in her life. And to adapt that into a film was very difficult because it's very disjointed, it's very episodic, it's not really like a grander narrative
Should have
over
been
it.
a TV show.
Well, there we go. But if you're making it into a Studio Ghibli film, so Takahata was the director of this, and he came up with the idea of the framing device of having Taiko be older and sort of, reminiscing and going back to her roots, essentially going back to the land, bit of that like spirituality that rural living can bring, a break away from modernity, if you will. And it's quite a nice premise. The film itself is about 2 hours, I think, in total, just under 2 hours. And I don't think it needed to be that long. There's moments where, when we flash back to Taiko as a 10-year-old, I was like, okay, well, what are we really trying to say here? I suppose if I did like a real deep dive on this film, you could probably find something that links to what's going on in her present day. But sometimes these flashbacks seemed quite random to me. And after they were done, I thought, besides the fact of, oh, she's reminiscing about her life, and by the end of it, we kind of get this big tapestry of her life when all's said and done. And we feel like we have this sort of like intimate connection with the character. But beyond that, what relevance is her and her family eating pineapple for the first time around the table? It's a well
Yeah.
animated scene. I actually quite like the tension of that scene, how the music cuts out and you can't read everyone's like got this questioning expression because they don't know what to make of it. I quite liked that scene in a bottle. I liked how it was paced, how it was animated. I thought it was quite fun. But sometimes it's like, okay, do we need to know about her crush, her first boyfriend, who was this baseball player? Do we need to see her eating pineapple? Some of that felt a little bit superfluous after a while. I thought, okay, what are we really
Could that
trying to
argument
do?
be made for Lord of the Rings, though? Do we need to know about this character and this
Yes,
family tree?
yes, we do. Damn it! But no, I suppose all of it goes into just creating this broader picture of Teiko's character, so we really understand her and everything that she's gone through, her upbringing, her hopes as a 10-year-old, and how she's now a completely different woman, and some of those dreams and aspirations she had when she was a child might not be the ones that she carries with her into adulthood, and that's fine. It's like the acting one where she's actually really good at acting on stage in her school play, and there's like a talent scout or something, and she gets picked for this part, and her dad's very strict, very patriarchal family, and he's like, you're not going into show business. And it kind of kills her dream dead. And then at that point, you're thinking, oh, I feel quite sad for her now. And the fact that she can't tell anyone as well that she was the first one who got that part. But then as she's older, she's like, well, I did get back into acting eventually when I got to high school, and I did it, but it was fine. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't a career. And she's like made peace with that. So there's some nice.
That's because her daddy told her not to, but he didn't slap her hard enough.
Yeah, he slaps the shit out of her in this movie, which was quite shocking. And I suppose as someone watching this, as a Western audience, we won't really get the significance or the connotation of why he slapped her the way that he did. We could probably just watch it. I thought it was just, because she was acting up and she wouldn't make her mind up, and he was just like, pow, like that. But apparently she runs outside without her shoes on. And that was an indicator of poverty in post-war Japan. So he probably thought, if anyone's watching, family and honor and image is very, very important. And
they should have put her in Fireflies, Grave of the Fireflies.
Well, it's the same director as that one. I do prefer that movie. I think overall, I think it's got more of a compelling story. I think for this one, for me, I don't think it's a bad film by any stretch of the imagination. I really don't. But for me, there's not really going to be anything to bring me back to this one on a second watch. I'm glad I watched it. It's, a sense of completion on these Studio Ghibli films. And there are elements to it that I like. I like how the animation looks very, very different from... Sorry, can you just put my volume down again? I love how the animation looks very, very different from when we flash back to her as a 10-year-old, how the backgrounds aren't very detailed, and it's almost like you are stepping into the past, and it's very ghost-like, and it's like these images are sort of half-formed in her mind. I thought that it's very, very minimalistic, almost, those older ones. And then when you get to the present day stuff, I mean, the background of this, for example, is just absolutely spectacular, like these fields of flowers and just the landscape, like the rural landscape of Japan. You really get that beauty from it, and you can see why why a lot of the residents are tapping into that. And you've got a lot of people moving away from the city that are in this humdrum life of a 9-to-5 in this concrete jungle, and needing to get back to their roots almost and keep themselves grounded by going back to this older way of living.
Yeah, it was the animation reminded me of Shin-chan. If you ever watched that as a kid.
No.
He was like, from what I remember, he was basically like this little 5-year-old kid that would go around like slapping women's asses and pulling their trousers down or something. I can't remember. It was a kid show. It was. I can't remember what it was about, but he was really, really weird, and he was just like, he would go red every time he saw a woman and be like, ah. It was really weird. But the animation style reminded me of that.
Well, there was a big shake-up with the animation style in this one, is that they went for a more realistic facial muscle, and facial structures to the animation. And I didn't know this and this seems like a little bit backwards, because I think we do it the other way around in animation. But with this film, the dialogue was recorded first, and then they animated.
We usually do it that way around, from what I know.
Yeah, but traditionally in Japanese animation, it's recorded afterwards. They do the animation first and then record the dialogue, which seems really, really strange. And the fact that I don't quite know how they do it, how they sync the mouth movements up with everything. Makes sense to me to record the audio and then match your animation to what you've got recorded. But apparently that wasn't the traditional way that Japanese animation was done until this film, and they switched it up. Now, I don't know if this was the first film that did it. I don't know if it's the first one of its kind and it was like a tour de force in that way, or if a few other films had done it before. But yeah, it's an interesting approach. But apparently, it makes the human characters look a little bit more human, I guess, a little bit more naturalistic.
Do they though? I mean,
I didn't
like
really
I said,
notice it, to be honest.
I don't think it's the most unique animation style ever. I don't think it's something like, oh, you've done something new. I think it's just there.
Mm.
Kind of like the movie, it's just there. Things happen, and there's a thing with the scene with the hall monitors, and then being like, oh, hall monitor should run here. And I was like, okay. It was just a really boring debate for me.
Yeah.
It felt like, I mean, it was a quite day in the life sort of thing, and I guess that's kind of the vibe they were going for, but it was kind of like, you know what I mean? Sometimes I think these day in the life things can be done. I mean, I don't want to say it was like a generically bad movie or anything. I think there's just a lot of slow pacing where I think when you watch a movie, you come away to watch a movie to kind of relax and get away from life and do all that sort of stuff. And I think when it's such a day in the life thing, you kind of left there being like, yeah, but I tried to come away from my day in the life.
Well, no, because like sometimes we've talked about movies we quite like day in the life movies, like Once Upon a Time
Yeah,
in
I know, but what I'm saying is it has
or...
to be done right. Sometimes it's kind of like this, like sometimes the slow pacing of it, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is not slow paced. It's like a day in the life thing. It's done very well. This is like there's slow paced movements where you're just like, okay, do you know what I mean? It has to be done right. It has to still be exciting, is what I'm saying.
What I was really surprised about, and I mentioned that I didn't want to look at any reviews or anything like that because I didn't want it to sort of inform my opinion on this film, and I always read them after the fact. This was a really, really surprise box office success, apparently.
Yep.
It brought in a large adult audience into it.
100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to lead to. Yeah, so it was the highest grossing film in Japan in 1991, and been well received by critics outside of Japan. And yeah, it still maintains 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. You could fuck that up, Dale, if you wanted to.
I could, and that could be fun. That could be very fun. I'd be like, I just feel like fucking it up.
And this was also probably one of the latest films to get a English dub, because the the dub for this, it was done after to celebrate the film's 25th anniversary. So this didn't get done until like February of 2016, and we have the Star Wars sequel trilogy's very own Daisy Ridley.
You could fuck anything up if you wanted to, couldn't you?
I guess so.
Like you could just like go into a church and just like take a shit in the middle and leave, and like who could stop you?
I guess so. Sure. Daisy Ridley. So you're watching all like the English dubs of these films. I'm watching the subtitled versions. What was Daisy Ridley like? Well, the whole voice cast really.
To be fair, no, I think the voice cast. Right, I don't mind Daisy Ridley's voice as much as you do. I hate her in Star Wars, but I hate those Star Wars movies that never happened anyway. So, I don't think she was that bad. I think she was just another voice. Like the thing is, she didn't stand out as someone of like this is really cool, but I didn't mind the voice acting on it. I thought everyone was all right. I thought the chemistry with them, they didn't sound like it wasn't one of those where you just think you all sound so bored of each other. It wasn't like that. They actually sounded like they worked. Like it had that family sort of vibe going on. So I think she was all right.
I thought the voice acting was really, really good in the Japanese one as well. Obviously, I don't know any of the actors. I wish I did, but all did a really, really good job. I saw this as well that this was very well received, and they actually did a stage musical of this, which toured in 2011, and very, very recently in 2021 they did a live action sequel, which follows a 64-year-old Taiko with her daughter and granddaughter.
That's kind of like doing a sequel to Joker and making it a musical.
I don't know if the sequel to Only Yesterday is a musical. Maybe it is. Who knows? I did quite find the romance angle to this quite sweet at the end. I don't think it necessarily needed to be in there, but I don't know. I kind of got drawn into the end where.
Do you know what? The older I'm getting, the more I'm hating romance angles. I'm just starting to really dislike them.
I like them in films. I still like them in films.
No, it's not realistic. Who falls in love? Like, it's not a thing. Why are we doing it?
I like the bit where she gets in on the train and she heads back, and that's where I thought the film was going to end. Little did I know, and I should have learned from this because I think every other Studio Ghibli film's done this, and I've championed it for this. It continues the story as the credits are going up, and I thought this was actually quite beautifully animated and just shown visually how her 10-year-old self, like the spectre of her 10-year-old self, sort of whispers in her ear to get off the train. And that's sort of really the culmination of all of the flashbacks and how we've seen her growing up and, you know, becoming the woman that she is.
Isn't
and
that
it's
a
that
mental
past
illness?
self. Maybe. And it's her past self that sort of gives her that nudge, you know, this rural life's really what you want. You need to settle down and be a good waifu. And then she leaves the train, she heads back. And I don't know, I thought it was a really, really sweet ending. I thought it was really nice.
I mean, it's a bit mentally ill, though, isn't it?
I'm a hopeless romantic, Dale. What can I say? I can't
I'm
help
not.
it.
Fucking hate that shit. Don't be falling in love in my fucking in like my movies and don't do it. We don't need a love angle and everything.
The behind the scenes of this film were quite wrought a little bit. So as I mentioned, it was Miyazaki was the producer on this, and because he was tied up with Totoro and he was working on that, he passed the directing over to Takahata. Now Takahata was quite lax in terms of meeting production deadlines, and this caused a bit of a rift between the two of them. And because of this, a lot of like early spring screenings that they originally scheduled for this film had to be cancelled because deadlines weren't being met, and it was getting quite down to the wire. So they employed a lot of new animators to Studio Ghibli and onto the project. And to give people a bit more of an incentive, they offered them full-time employment, regular recruitment, in-house training, and this doubled the production costs. And because of that, they had to get more films into production. So Miyazaki, at this point, is starting work on what we'll be reviewing next week, which is Porco Rosso, as Takahata continued.
It should have been Only Tomorrow. That's what it should be called.
that's the sequel. Maybe it is. I don't know. But here we go. And then I think on the back of this as well, they will Miyazaki proposed opening a new studio in Tokyo as well. So I'm assuming they went ahead with that, and they're starting to expand from on the back of this movie. I think the main thing for this movie and the main crux in terms of the themes and everything is the theme of sort of looking back on your life, like nostalgia, I guess, sort of seeing where you've come and the journey of life and where it can take you, and how some pursuits can lead to things, and other times it's just another thread in the tapestry that is your life, essentially. And environment, once again, like it's absolutely huge for a lot of Studio Ghibli films, not just Miyazaki films, although they're very prominent in them. It's about it's kind of similar to My Neighbor Totoro in a way, how I forgot the religion. Is it the Shinto religion? How they have that rope tied around the tree, which is to symbolize like a kinship between humans and the spirits, I guess, and nature and the woodlands, and appreciating what's around you. There's a lot of that in this film. There's a lot of needing to unplug, get away, and sort of being drawn back, a natural call to get back to basics, essentially, get back to farming or nature, which is what was, that's how Japan was built, on the back of farmers, essentially, originally. As a lot of other places. So I think there's a beauty to that. I think there really is.
America, wasn't it? Built on the back of like cotton pickers.
I suppose everywhere it was. But I think that's I was going to say that's a nice thing. No, that's not a nice thing. That's a horrible thing. But going back to nature of some kind, and we all go through moments like that. You went on a very nice walk the other day, by the looks of it from the pictures. I can't remember where you went, but it looked really, really nice. Yeah. And we all need that, especially when we get caught up in the humdrums of life, or if we live in a city or like a big bustling town. Sometimes you just need to get away. You need to see some fields. You need to see some sheep and a canal. Yeah, I mean, some hills.
The backdrops and stuff did look really, really nice in this. They were one of the really, I think, really, really well designed. It was kind of similar. Where you've got like I said with Snow White, with set pieces, and it looked very sort of like we had some moments like that, which is really, really good. So yeah, that was nice.
What did you think to the music on this one? I thought the music was
It,
quite understated, to be honest, in this
oh,
one.
I thought it was all right. It was just it worked for what it was. I just don't think there's not a bit that really stood out of, oh my god, this is really great. It was just there,
Mm-hmm.
like a
There's
lot
lots
of
of... Go, sorry.
the characters. I don't think there was a character that stood out. It was all quite there. You
There's a
know?
lot of interesting music choice in this one. There's some classical pieces. There's some like Hungarian and like European folk music and things like that. I really liked the end credit song actually, which apparently is a remixed, redone version of an American singer-songwriter song called "The Rose" by Amanda McBroom. I may have heard that original song because the tune sounded familiar in the end credits, but I couldn't quite place it. Would I give this film 100% rating? Absolutely not. I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's very well done. I think that, I mean, I've never read the original manga, but I think if you're adapting that, I actually think the main focal point of this film, the strongest element of this film, is the framing device, is seeing this character so many years on and going back to, you know, getting away from modernity and the chaos of modern living. I thought that was the strongest part of the film for me. And there are some sweet moments in the flashbacks. They're animated well. I like the bit where she meets her first crush and she runs away and she sort of like runs into the sky and it's almost like she's dancing and swimming in the sky. I thought that was really creative to show that elation and those feelings that you probably feel, you know, when you're younger or you have a crush or whatnot. There are really, really nice little individual moments like that. But sometimes when I was just looking at the film as a whole, I thought, do we really need to be bogged down with all of this? Does any of it have a significant impact into what's happening in the present storyline, aside from just showcasing this person's life? And if it is just showcasing this person's life, then that's fine, and it does it well. I'm glad I watched it, but there's not really any sort of like meat to this story. There's no sort of like driving narrative element or character element that's going to make me come back and watch this film anytime soon. My Neighbor Totoro, Grave of the Fireflies is very harrowing, so probably not the best example of that. Kiki's Delivery Service, something like that, I probably would go back to. Yeah, because there was just, I don't know. I was more intrigued with that one, and I was more on board with it, I guess.
What's there to intrigue you in this one, though, really?
Well, yeah, it's just a snapshot into someone's life, and that's fine. But it's not really. Now I've seen that snapshot.
I would rather a snapshot into Hitler's life. I think that's a more eventful sort of time.
It's definitely a lot more eventful.
Well, there you go.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So final thoughts. Well, I guess you've just
apparently Hitler was a nice guy. That's what I've heard. Not to the Jews, but I heard that he was like a nice guy. If you knew him and you were buddies with him, I heard he was quite a good friend. You know.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
That's what I've heard. I've heard nice things about Hitler.
Let's see.
Take the genocide. Like put that to the side for a second. I think you know he was a bit misunderstood.
Well, that's this channel cancelled. There we go. Robin says, I can't hang out for this one, but wanted to give you some interaction and apologize for derailing the Wasp live stream. You didn't derail it. It was all good. And Carl says, evening. Apologies if you've already mentioned it, but how was Ozzy's funeral? Well, yeah, I guess
you know what's not good to derail, though? A roller coaster.
Yeah, don't do that. I used to do that on Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Use the derail roller coasters.
Yes. Ozzy's funeral. Well, I guess we can end on that. I know if someone's just clicking on this like Studio Ghibli, let's see what these people have to say. Well, they've probably already clicked off at Hitler if they haven't clicked off earlier. But let's talk about Ozzy's funeral. This was a very, very spontaneous last minute decision. I actually only heard that it was that Ozzy was being the funeral procession was going down Broad Street. I found out about this yesterday. Only yesterday. Hey, there we go. We tied it all in. And I messaged you straight away and I said, dude, are you free? Let's go. And as fate would have it, you were. And we went today. Very, very glad that we got to go. And we actually got really up close to the barrier as well. We were on the side of the street of the bench.
Yeah.
We couldn't really see the family. I saw like a little bit of like red hair from Sharon, and we could see Kelly just a little bit. But yeah, it was good to be, and so many people. I'd love to know how many people actually made it out. I mean, the streets were.
That was a lot, yeah.
lined like it was dense. Yeah.
Piled. It was, yeah, there was a lot of people. It piled a lot. And yeah, I mean, it was good. We were right on the barrier, though. Like you say, we were like, got good photos of all the flowers, everything. So, yeah, that was, we were in quite a good view, to be fair. And it played the most happy version of Paranoid I've ever heard in my life.
And Crazy Train's already one of the happiest songs ever once you get past the main riff at the beginning, but it sounded even happier with this big band.
Yeah.
And I think that's how Ozzy wanted it, though, didn't he? He said that he wanted his, it to be a celebration. He didn't want this like somber, sad funeral.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, the family's going to have that tomorrow for their private one, but he wanted his life to be a party. He wanted it to be a celebration. I think that's exactly what it was. It was good spirits all around. It was good to be there, and I guess it was a nice bit of closure, I suppose, if you will, after the last few weeks that we've had.
Yeah, it all rounded off nicely, didn't it? It was like a nice little, this is the end. This is it. It was yeah. So it was quite a nice little thing for everyone involved. To be fair, the family's got to go for a funeral twice, technically, haven't they?
Yeah, I know. Our heart goes out to like Sharon and the rest of the family. Like she
looked sad.
She was devastated, bless her, wasn't she? Of course she would be, but yeah, wow. But it was nice to be there today, and there were loads of people out, which was great. Yeah, I don't really know what else I can say about it. Really, just that I'm glad I was there.
It was it was a good thing. It was a good thing that we went, because it was a nice sort of like. It was nice. It was nice to be there. It was a cool thing to actually see in person.
I've never seen anything like that in my life. Like I was very, very young. I think it was 1997 when Princess Diana died. I was 4, and I've got a very distinct memory of my mom in the house that I grew up in. It was in the back bedroom watching it on the TV, the news coverage, and she was crying. And I think that was the first proper time that I'd seen my mom cry. And I was 4 years old, and I didn't know what to do. So I distinctly remember this. I had like these big, you remember those like big chalk crayon things that you have as a kid?
Oh, the
big like chunky crayon things. I drew a Winnie the Pooh picture for my mum. I drew Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, and Piglet, and I gave it her because she was sad. And I said, I want this to make you happy. I distinctly remember doing that. And so I only am like vaguely aware of like my mom's emotions at the time of like Princess Diana's funeral. I didn't really understand all the ramifications of it or anything like that, and how adored she was by everyone and all the processions and everything. This did feel like royalty, and I guess in a way it is rock and roll royalty. It's heavy metal royalty. But I have never seen anything like this before. And to be honest, I don't think I'll see anything like this since. We were trying to run through a list of names in our head.
Paul McCartney will be the next one, but it'll be.
But would he have a procession like this? I don't think he would.
Would he not?
I don't think he would. I don't think so, mate. At first I thought, but I think with Ozzy Osbourne, I think with the TV show, he was able to permeate into a younger audience, and he was more enduring. Whereas I know Paul McCartney's obviously still going, and the Beatles is one of the most prolific bands in history. But they've never really stayed with the times. I don't think they've sort of permeated the younger ongoing crowd. I mean, of course there is, like parents passing down the music of the Beatles and whatnot. But I don't think we're going to get this again. It was surreal. That's the word that comes to mind. Like, it was a surreal experience, seeing this and being a part of it, and just, the lavish, like the pomp and the circumstance of it all for such a significant person in music. And I know you've got stuff like Graceland and Neverland Ranch. I don't even know if that's still a thing now for Michael Jackson, if it was all sold off. But yeah, I
wonder if they'll do anything for Gary Glitter when he dies. I wonder. You never know. They could do.
God almighty.
They'll egg his funeral, won't they? That's what they'll do.
Yeah. Carl says, Sharon gets a lot of hate, but seeing her today, it really hit me that she lost her husband. Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit I've been one of those like, oh, she's doing it for the money and everything like that. But upon reflection, I think that her and Ozzy had a very symbiotic relationship. Some may say it could be like a toxic relationship. Others could say it's just marriage, a very strong marriage. I don't know, and I think there's some truth to all of that.
The symbiote. Is that where that comes from? Symbiote? Is that
living together?
Do you know what? I've only put 2 and 2 together.
You fucking idiot.
Well, there you go. We found out where.
But he was bringing in a lot of money, but she pushed him into all those things. I think without her, he even said this, like he would have been nothing. He would have given up long ago. She was his driving force. She was his muse. And yeah, I mean, she's lost a husband, Jack Kelly, and the other daughter I keep forgetting, have lost a
Amy.
father. It's horrible. But it really did hit home. And it was nice to see I've seen a lot of people actually online. Well, not a lot of people, a few very vocal, the vocal minority, as it always is, right? Saying that, I thought it was absolutely disgraceful that the crowd was chanting like, Ozzy, Ozzy, all of that, or Sharon, all these like football things, and singing along and everything like that, because they wouldn't even give her a moment of silence. She was grieving when she planted the flowers and the crowd was going, Sharon, Sharon. And they said, like, people have got no decorum, no taste, no sympathy, no empathy. And I'm like, I never took any of that as it being mean-spirited. That was us fans getting to say one final goodbye to Ozzy. And I feel like the chanting for Sharon was to like give her strength in the only way that we can as fans, as outlookers.
That's the thing. It was like just a nice. Yeah, I don't think there was anything wrong with that. It wasn't like it was like you say, to give him strength, to be like, it's all right, all that sort of stuff. And so there wasn't any. I don't understand people like that, but people are snowflakes.
Yes, they are. It was a thank you. It was a thank you to Ozzy. His music has touched millions, continues to be listened to by everyone and enjoyed. And it was just like a thank you. That was our last chance that we're going to be like near him, I guess, or see him in some kind of way, because the casket drove right past us, didn't it? We got like a really good view. You had Ozzy written on the side in like purpley pink flowers, which was really nice. And we got to see it. Black casket, of course it would be. Right. Bath Time says, big up the lads, hope you enjoyed the funeral as much as one can. I said to you that's the second funeral I've been to in my lifetime. And I just know that as life progresses, that number's going to keep going up, unfortunately. Bath Time says, Ozzy wasn't a normal man. He wasn't going to have a normal marriage. The kids seem to have turned out well. Yeah, they do. And Bath Time says, I don't know if the self-styled Prince of Darkness is going to have a traditional funeral service. What do you people expect? They have actually said there's a small family church, very, very small church near their Buckinghamshire home that they're going to be taking him to tomorrow. I feel like they did release the name of the church. However, since then, I can't find that online. I just know it's near where they live in their like big lavish.
It's a big mansion. They're transporting him across the country, aren't they? Like, it's a long fucking journey.
Well, we did hear as well that they drove past. Well, it's not a different country, but they drove through Aston past his old family home, and it did look like there was some people on the side of the road there. I don't know if they were just other residents who live down there, or if other people had made the pilgrimage to there. Because I mean, if you'd have gone there instead of Broad Street, you'd have had like almost like a nice little personal procession going past.
I still wonder about the people that live in Aston, have no idea who he is, being like, who died around here? Why have they got police about it? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone sees the flowers outside number 14 and being like, what happened here? Why? Do you know what I mean? They'd be so confused. Like, why have you got police outside your funeral?
It really has just rocked the world, hasn't it? No pun intended. It's just, it's insane. I mean, of course, it's like, it's deeply sad, but I was saying to you that how everything's transpired, I don't want to say it feels right, because whenever someone passes, it's a horrible thing. But if he was going to go, under the circumstances, it felt like the right time, almost. Because I keep saying to you, like, he wasn't getting any better, and he gave it his all at that final show.
I'm still surprised he didn't go during the gig.
Yeah, and then like a day after his passing. We had this like booked ages before. Anyway, before we knew any of all this, like we had Lita Ford booked, who did the song with him. A day after his passing, we got that really lovely tribute from her by hearing that song. We really wanted to see her there. We hoped that she would have been there at the actual final gig, but we got to see that. And then, luckily, living in the Midlands, we got to get to see the funeral procession today. And there was people from all over the world again. Very, very similar. There was a woman to the right of me who'd flown all the way in from Canada. And I thought, you must have heard about this earlier than I did, because I only heard about this. What time did I message you yesterday about it? It was
like midday.
Yeah.
It was about 24 hours before.
So unless she just hopped on a flight straight away, I have no idea.
Maybe she was like me. She could just see it happening. She was just like, let's go.
That time says, I know a Nigerian from my football team that had no idea what happened on November 5th and rang everyone in a panic the first time it happened. Was that when all the fireworks are going off?
November the 5th? Huh, what?
Yeah, 5th of November, bonfire night.
Right. Yeah. I was confused. I was still in the thing. Yeah.
That's funny.
That's I remember when I pretended for so long not to know about COVID because everyone was banging on about it, and I was just like, "Oh, fucking shut up!" People's got on about it. I have no idea what you're on about. People would genuinely get annoyed with me. They were like, "Well, how do you not know what's going on?" I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." It was that was fun.
Right, I guess we'll probably round off there.
Remember the bit with the toy pirate?
Oh yeah, like the puppet show. Yeah, apparently that was based off.
If I had to pick a thing that stands out, I'd say that's my favorite little bit.
That was based off like a real show, I think, a real kids' TV show.
Punch and Judy. I don't know.
That ran for a few years. I knew this was going to be a shorter review because there's just
what happened to Punch and Judy.
Well, I don't think that went anywhere. It's still a thing. I think it's probably not acceptable now because there's a bit of woman beating in it, isn't there? I think.
What was the concept? Just a dude that beat his wife.
Well, it goes really like far back to folklore, doesn't it? I don't know if you've seen The Wicker Man, but like the Punch character is in that. Like it's sort of like pagan folklore-ish kind of stuff. I'm not sure. I'd have to check that. I'm not sure how it developed with like the fucking crocodile that's after sausages, isn't it? And Punch and Judy necessarily. Like I've no idea.
I don't know.
Oh, here we go. Bath Time's on it. The concept is from Commedia dell'arte, like 1200. Jesus Christ. 1200 AD Italy. Shit.
Punch and Judy is what you get when you tell your friend Judy to punch a Jew. Punch Judy. No, when you tell your friend D to punch, that's it. Tell your friend D to punch a Jew. Punch Judy. So, yeah.
There we go. It got cancelled for that very reason. I thought so. I used to. Oh god, this is gonna make me sad. I was gonna say I used to love Punch and Judy shows when I was a kid.
Remember when? Was it the Helter Skelter with the you go to like fairgrounds? There was like a Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
And like with that was fun.
It's fun, and Punch would have the mallet, and he'd be like smacking the shit out of the crocodile. I used to,
it's
hilarious.
A bit of wife beating, like just keep it tasteful.
Keep it tasteful.
Tasteful wife beating. There you go.
There we go. And we're going to end our review on Only yesterday on that, I think. So I knew this was going to be a shorter review. I know that for half of this review, probably we've talked about the Ozzy stuff as well, but we had to talk about it, didn't we? It
was a weird review. It was not a weird review. It was a weird movie where it was just, I feel like not enough happened. It was, or things did, but it was just like, do you know what I mean?
You've got an absolute treat next week, though, because we've got a Porco Rosso, which I have watched before. Can't really remember it, but I did watch the dub, and I can remember some of the voice actors in it. What do you want me to tell you, or do you want to find out when you watch it? I have told you, I think, before.
Sean Connery.
No, I'm going to let you. No, I'm going to let you find out.
What's the other one? The guy with the thing, with the other one. You know who I'm on about? I
don't know who the fuck you're on about. No, yes. I don't. You can't just say the guy that was in that thing. You always do that.
Yeah, but the guy with the he's got a mustache.
Chuck me the phone book. What do you want me to do? Like
he's got a mustache. James Bond. Timothy Dalton.
Oh, there we go. Christ. He did. He did do a voice in one of these, didn't he?
Which one was it? That's why I thought about it.
Yeah. So next week, Porco Rosso. I'm looking forward to jumping into that one, and yeah, I'll be watching the Japanese version, but you get the treat of some amazing voice actors in that one, so enjoy that one.
Is it a guy?
It is a guy, yes.
Is it Mark Hamill again?
No, but it is a guy who has played Batman before.
Oh, is
a
it?
few times.
It's the guy that plays that one, that Batman, the good one, the good Batman.
The amazing one, yes.
Yeah, the not the Amazing Spider-Man, the Amazing Batman. What's his name? Why do I always forget his name? But I know who he is.
You'll find out next week. You'll find out next week.
I always
Right.
forget his name. Michael Keaton.
Bath Times. There you go. Bath Time says, "Can you randomly watch a review Moonfall? It's so incredibly shit and amazing. They launch a space rocket underwater from a tsunami." What? Moonfall. Where do I know that name? Is that fairly recent? I thought that was
Sounds
an
like a
older
drug.
film, Moonfall. Or am I thinking of something else? Moonfall. Oh, 2022 movie. Oh God, I remember the trailer for this piece of shit. Yeah, it's got Samwell Tarly in it from Game of Thrones, playing Samwell Tarly. Oh, of course, it's Roland fucking Emmerich. Yeah, say no more. Jesus Christ. I was done after Independence Day too. I can't do any more Roland Emmerich movies. I really can't. Right. Let's round it off there, methinks. So thank you to everyone who's tuned in, kept the conversation going. I hope you're all keeping well. When am I going to be going live next? It will probably be next week. As I said, I'm going to try and take a little bit of a back seat. Saturday. Oh, yes. God, yeah. Okay. Cataclysmic, life-changing news, everyone. Okay. On Saturday, sorry. Dale, you are completing your Lord of the Rings journey. We shall be watching The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King extended edition, all 4 hours and 8 wonderful minutes of that film. And after it's all said and done, we'll be jumping on a Lord of the Rings trilogy review, where I'm pretty much just going to give you the floor. I'm just going to be like, vocalize everything that you've experienced over these last 3 films. So we really hope all of you can join us for that one, because I mean, this is the channel's called the Hobbit
Everyone
Fan
ever,
Editor.
just everyone on YouTube ever.
I think, yeah, that's going to be like the biggest review on the channel. Like just
Although,
in
to be fair,
terms
I
of
think
like the
everyone
ones
on
that I'm
YouTube-
most contented with is
I
just
think
getting that
if
review.
every single person looked at it, I think that would earn a lot of money. I think we'd be set for life. So everyone on YouTube ever, just watch it, even for a second. It's fine.
Smash the like button, hit that subscribe button. Yeah, all of that.
All you need is one good video, and then you become rich.
Because we've been talking a little bit about Lord of the Rings, and you've been thinking about, are you going to read the Silmarillion first, or are you going to read the Lord of the Rings first? You've been talking about that you really want to go back and rewatch Fellowship and rewatch some of them, and I'm like, yes, it's happening. This is what we want. This is good. But yeah, Return of the King Saturday, only a couple of days away. I'm really excited to watch it. And I'm excited because I've watched these films to death, and I've always kept saying that if I could erase my mind of any films and watch them again for the first time, it would be the Lord of the Rings films. And I can never do that. But what I can do is watch them again with someone who hasn't watched them, like yourself, and it almost feels like I'm getting to experience those for the first time again as you're watching them. So it's an absolute pleasure watching this trilogy with you, man.
Thing is, we say like we're going to do the review on Saturday. If one of us dies before that, like, it won't happen. It would just be a video of saying, look, couldn't do the review. I'm sorry. Blah 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 has died, depending which one it is, and just
wow.
If we both die, there'd be silence, radio silence.
That's true. Yeah. So no more channel, no more Studio Ghibli. There you go. It was short lived. Bath Time says, I fully expect Dale to be dressed in every single prop you have, screaming he's a man of the West. Yes, you are. And don't be ashamed of that. As much as people tell you that you should be ashamed of being a man of the West, do not be ashamed.
I am ashamed that you don't have Gimli's walking axe.
Dude, it's so hard to find, and it's so expensive when you do.
Yeah, that's the one that I was like, oh.
It's like $5,000. I can't do it. Bath Time says, do not read the Silmarillion first, is my advice. I think you did come to that conclusion in the end, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I was going to was because I'd already know the story. And my thought process was, if I come away from Return of the King and think, I just really want to delve into it all now, like, do you know what I mean? And I fixate on everything. I can go to the Silmarillion, have the backstory after experiencing Lord of the Rings. So it's the whole, I would be doing Lord of the Rings first, but then going into the book. And then that way, every reference I get and I understand. So it'd be like the complete version. But that's if I was going to go into it straight away. But I think it's probably nice to leave it for 6 months or so, or a bit late at least, before I go back. Because then you experiencing it better. Because otherwise it's like, yeah, cool. And then hype. And then you're like, okay, what do I do? But then if you come in 6 months later, it's like, really excited to go, like, to experience this again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right, we're going to round off there properly this time. So thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Oh yeah, I've got to bring all the things up, didn't I? So let us know what you think of Only Yesterday if anyone decides to watch it. Do consider subscribing to the channel as well. As we mentioned, we've got some videos coming out. And although after Saturday, we're still going to keep the Studio Ghibli stuff going. I'll be taking a slight little back seat because I really want to make the most of these weeks that I've got off from work. And I really want to try and get, or as close as I can, to getting my updated version of my Hobbit edit done. So it's all stations go on that. I want to try and utilize the time on that if I can. So, but there will still be videos coming out as and when. So fear not. But yeah. Thank you to everyone, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.